Of course, in the coming days, there's some really warm weather on the way for some of you compared to what you've seen, but we're looking at January into this video and how this crazy weather pattern might impact our weather. Let's talk about the warm weather that's ahead, and I'm going to show you the cold too that we are still watching. It's a cold Monday across a lot of the east into the south. That changes though as we head through the week. These are temperature anomalies. Again, this is just departures from average, and it's going to get pretty warm up into parts of southern Canada, but another cold shot tries to move in by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. We stay cool heading into along the East Coast through a good part of Tuesday, but warmer weather is on the way. Warm across the mountains. This hasn't changed. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of change in the short term across the west. Maybe long term, there is some relief on the way with some precip into the Sierra, which is really dry. And so are a lot of the mountains. And it's been really warm, too, into Oregon and Washington. Again, there is some hope for some of those ski areas out there. A pretty decent warm up out ahead of this next cold blast that starts to move in from the northwest. So temperatures drop below average again behind this heading into Friday. This is not going to last either. What we're in is a very progressive setup where things move in and out very quickly. And I think that's going to cause temperatures to fluctuate a lot. Now, this is a look at the ensemble guidance. Things get flat the further out you go. I do want you to notice the big ridge that the ensembles are showing building around Christmas across the country. There's still a lot of question about the Northeast. Will a small piece of the polar vortex be able to break off and keep things cold here? It's on the table. But I think there's still a lot of warmth in the forecast for a lot of the southern plains. However, there's also a lot of cold air lurking off to the northwest. That is much different this year than last year. We showed this yesterday. I want to show you it again because we've seen a change with the new snow. These are snow totals, not really snow totals. This is snow cover across North America. Someone said yesterday, there's no way there's more snow across North America this year than last year. There is. This is this year. This is last year. Now, there might be more snow in other people's backyard than yours, but if you look at the entire continent, there's definitely more snow this year, and there's definitely more ice across the lakes. Some of you in the feedback, I love hearing from your comments, are telling me that the lakes have more ice on them across parts of the upper Midwest, the Northern Plains, parts of Canada than you've seen in a long time. One guy said he's 50 years old, and it's the most ice he's seen on a lake his entire life. The point is, it's really cold. We are going to see some retreat of that. This is actual snow cover on the ground. There's not a lot of snow here into southern Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta. Some would say maybe not even any snow here into parts of Montana and also Alberta. But yeah, we've got some snow now here into the northeast. This is snow depth change, okay? You're going to see the snow go away. We're not adding to it in this map. I want to show you how that warmth is going to erode at the snow. This is by Wednesday and then into Thursday. So we kind of get rid of the snow here into the northeast. Some of it will probably hang around into New Jersey for a few days where we got dumped on. But once we get toward, look at this, Thursday into Friday, another band of snow moving through southern Canada. This may put some snow into Saskatchewan, Manitoba, maybe Alberta too. But we are seeing the snow erase. It's not going away. I think up here into the UP and the Arrowhead of Michigan, there's just a lot of snow on the ground. And we're not going to lose all the snow across Canada either. And that's going to help keep the cold around. And just a quick look at the teleconnections. My wife likes to say, this is where you lose me. But I want to show you something. The bottom line is when this index goes negative, this is the North Atlantic Oscillation. And right here, I'm going to have to get a little bit closer. This is around the 24th and 25th. We start to see that change across the North Atlantic. Typically, when the North Atlantic Oscillation goes low or at least toward negative, you get cold in the east. A neutral phase probably puts more cold into the Midwest, but your WPO right now, Western Pacific Oscillation, is super negative. We're geeking out just a little bit. If you're into this kind of stuff, subscribe, come back. Maybe if you just want to know if it's raining or snowing, we'll try to get into that too, but we also try to dig into some details, and I'll tell you maybe why I think it's going to snow or rain or not, or what it's going to do. But the idea is that this is relatively negative, and that's cold. But look, what we're not seeing is a strong run toward positive. The control goes colder. So I don't think you give up on winter yet, guys. There's a lot of people that are going to throw in the towel this week. I promise they will. You're going to hear it out there. And I think there's a lot of cold this year compared to last year. Again, that's just billowing here and setting up into parts of Western Canada. Again, a big change this week. The snow is gone in the east. We're turning warmer too with southwest flow. Huge a lot of moisture, rather. It's not a huge storm. It's just a huge plume, I guess would be the better way to describe it, of moisture slamming into British Columbia, into Alberta. Heavy snow here into the Canadian Rockies, into the western mountains of British Columbia. Big rain, too, again, unfortunately, into parts of the Pacific Northwest. This trough is going to swing and it's going to drop snow levels quite a bit across the rest of the country into the east. Relatively mild here. And we're going to let this roll pretty quickly. This is a system I think you watch. We'll zoom in a little closer heading into Thursday. That could put some heavy snow across southern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, maybe into Ontario. Further to the south, across the states, warm. A lot of southwest flow as high pressure sets off the east coast. It's also going to help pull in some cold air on the northern side of this and put a decent dump of snow here into Ontario and Quebec. However, pretty warm all the way up to Montreal. We're talking about rain, though, as this goes by. And then some cold air behind this. Temperatures drop around the Great Lakes. We've got lake effect snow on the way by Friday and Saturday. Starting out the weekend, relatively cold here, at least in the east as this surface high settles over Tennessee. Across the west, I think we get a little colder into Montana, maybe a little more snow into some of the lower elevations. And then across the Pacific Northwest, those snow levels drop, but they go back up again. Here's your hope, though, I think, for some precip. Looking pretty far out now toward Christmas. This would put some precipitation down into the Sierra. Some snow, some rain into California. It's a long way out. What I don't like to see, and by the way, this is Christmas Day, I don't like to see this not sticking around. Again, it's been super dry in this part of the country, and I don't know that that's going to change a whole lot, unfortunately. The cold air starts to retreat. There could be some icing issues here into the northeast. Again, that cold air could be stuck into the far northeast, which could cause some travel issues here. Still a long way to go. It's December 15th. We're talking about Christmas Day. Still 10 days out. Let's watch it. I know that sounds like a long way, but then when I say it out loud, I'm going, Christmas is only 10 days away. Okay, forecasting is a long way out, but for me to do my shopping, okay, you don't care. All right, let's continue to move on. Cold across western Canada. We keep this active weather going, and the cold is just setting to the north. No big winter storms. That's the thing, right? So, again, long range, I do think we turn cold. In the short range, not a lot of snow compared to lately. Here are your snow totals through Wednesday. Some lake effect, some light snow with this system moving through parts of southern Ontario. But look, a better chance of snow here with this second system heading into next weekend. And again, the lake effect could start to pick up as well. Further to the west, and then we'll dive into each of the precipitation areas across the country. A decent snow possible headed towards midweek. Look at that. I don't know that we get it down into Calgary, but, maybe into Winnipeg, maybe. And then there's more chances for snow here, too, heading into next week and the week beyond that. Across the west, big snow again into the Canadian Rockies here, into British Columbia. Those snow levels drop into Washington. We finally, I think, start to see some snow into the Cascades as we head into next weekend. And, it's not snowing into eastern Montana. It's really been confined to the mountains, even into Idaho, Boise. Not much of any type of winter precip. It's just been so warm out here this year. A terrible start to ski season this year across the west. Maybe some snow. It's not going to be enough to save it or get it really fired up and going, but we'll take anything we can get across the Sierra with several feet possible over the next week or so, hopefully, as this moisture moves in. Again, unfortunately, too much of a good thing across the Pacific Northwest, and we've had so much rain here. Any aggravation to flooding or to destabilize the steep slopes with rain is going to continue to cause problems here with mudslides and landslides. It's been an issue with this last event. Unfortunately, again, the rivers are going to stay high and more flooding problems. Colder air moves in. Those snow levels start to drop. That's a good thing. That's going to reduce that runoff. And then as we head into Wednesday, that moves east. So now we're looking, I don't know if we get the snow into Calgary. It looks like it's a little bit to your north. And then this slides east along southern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba. Too warm for snow here into eastern Montana and South Dakota with this. Some rain. And then our next system plows into the Pacific Northwest with rain and snow here. Snow levels go back up again. Not as high, maybe, and then they crash back down. And this sets the stage for, again, what might be coming into the west as we get close to Christmas. Still a long way away. The thing is, I've seen this show up now for the last several days. So maybe finally some snow here into Northern California, into the Sierra. I'll tell you one thing, we've not been forecasting much snow out here at all this year, or at least seeing it show up on the models. Warm into Washington and Oregon, warm also into the Southwest, and arguably above average for many areas across the Rockies today. And we're starting to see things rebound too across the Midwest, into the Northern Plains, into the Great Lakes. The Southwest flow picks up kind of a yawning type week across the central U.S. Not a lot going on. A little bit of light shower activity across the south into South Texas, Louisiana. Our next the most impactful system we're going to see this week will be Thursday into Friday. The winds are going to pick up ahead of this. It's going to get pretty warm, at least above average. Cold enough for some snow behind this as we head now into Thursday and Friday. Temperatures drop back down. And then another weak system slides through with maybe a little more snow here across Minnesota into Wisconsin, into the UP of Michigan, where we've had just feet of snow this year. Here's a look at your temperatures today. Again, that mild air moving north, heading into tomorrow. Goodbye to the Arctic air. I want to show you something. While it's going to get warm, may not be what you think, right? A lot of 40s and 30s still on the board and 20s too. It's going to get pretty mild, though, across Oklahoma and Missouri. I'm going to let this go out in time because once we get, I think, into Thursday, out ahead of this next system, it could get pretty nice and mild, I think, here into the Tennessee Valley, back up into the 50s, Cincinnati close to 60. And then we cool down heading into the weekend. Further to the east, lake effect still going here downwind of Lake Ontario into Tuesday as that weak system moves through the Great Lakes into southern Ontario, into Quebec, with just some light snow with this. Maybe some light icing, too. We'll have to watch this area here into central Michigan, just north of Toronto. There could be some freezing rain here heading now, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning as we get some overrunning precip, and that could move up to St. Lawrence. So something to watch here. Not a major impact, but doesn't take much ice to cause problems. And then as we head into the weekend, again, our next storm moves east. A lot of southwest flow ahead of this. And some rain, too. A decent slug of that moving east. This is going to be a snow melter here for the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. We're going to see that snow melt. Interesting, though, behind this, you see a rain to snow here into the mountains. And then much colder behind this. Temperatures drop. We warm back up. And then another front moves through and we drop back down. This kind of sets the stage, I think, for a relatively colder northeast heading into the Christmas season. However, into the south, into the mid-south, I was looking at this and I'm thinking, all right, is this going to set up like the way I think it's going to, with overrunning moisture here, cloudy, damp, gross, low clouds, fog. All right, a long way to go as we head toward Christmas, but I didn't like to see that if you live here in Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, maybe even into parts of the mid-Atlantic.